I was wanting to tell you, well, you're hearing my goats, but what you're looking at right now is called wood sorrel. It is a weed that grows abundant, and it's used for multiple things. The American Cancer Society sells it for $500 a pound dry, so people can use it for tea. And it's a very high in vitamin C, plus it has a nerve tonic in it when it's dried. Basically, it's kind of like a pain reliever. But it has 3 varieties. What you're seeing right there, there's like little yellow flowers on it. There's another one that has a pink flower. And there's another variety, if its memory serves me correct, it's a pink and yellow kind of mixed flower. But when you pick it and you chew on it, it has a flavor and kind of like a sweet tart. It starts out kind of grassy, as always, and then it turns out to be like a really sweet / real quick sour kind of taste. But I've made syrup with it, kind of like a jelly, but it turns out to more like syrup. You get a good amount of it while it's green like that, and you boil it in a pot, and it'll turn kind of like an amberish kind of like a tea color almost. And from there, you add about 1 cup to 2 cups of sugar and cook it down. It gets really thick. And the longer you cook it, the thicker it gets. There's videos on YouTube where you can use it in a tea form, and also how do you make a syrup with it. It's kind of a long process. I like to take it and just basically hang it up to dry. Here, hold on a second. She's one picking out. She's one. Let me loosen this up. There's what's making all the noise. Because I'm not showing them attention, so they're getting mad. But yeah, that's the grumper. But back to this. It looks like a clover, but it's not. It's that's a smaller variety there. I got clumps of stuff there that's around, that's as big as round as a basketball. But it grows mainly around brush lines and tree, not tree lines, but fence rows, and but in my neck of the woods, it's very abundant, and like it just once it starts in one spot, it kind of grows all over the place. I got a chuckle because I shared it on Facebook not too long ago. There's a person on eBay that's selling this for like $6 for like the seeds part of it. But you know, I guess if you don't have it in your neck of the woods and it doesn't grow, you know, I guess people want it. But I'm gonna pick off a different little cluster over here, which I won't mind because I'll just feed to the goats when I'm done. This here, of course, that's kind of up close and personal. Let's see if I can get that flower in there. There you go. There's part of the flower. That's a yellow one. But that right there is kind of like how it looks. Let me back this out some. That's what it looks like when it grows. It's kind of a woody kind of type plant, even though it's a green stem base. But that right there is wood sorrel. And a good cluster, well, they say it's about 3 to 6 times more vitamin C than an orange has. Here you go, buddy. But you can make tea with it. The tea's not bad. It's kind of different. It's kind of hard to explain. In the fall, I dig sassafras root to make tea with in the winter. Usually I'll get a good clump of this. I won't tear the roots out, so the roots will come back next spring, but I'll cut it to close to the ground as possible, and I'll tie them up together like you would the flowers and hang them upside down. And once they dry, I wouldn't say crumble, but I'll break it up pretty good and stick it in like a tea type bag, and I'll use it for making tea. And it has it's like sassafras. It has a taste of its own in a way. Some people like it, some people don't. But this is wood sorrel. It's known by different names, different areas, but the common name for the plant is called wood sorrel. And like I said, it's high in vitamin C. If you want to eat it in the green, like in a salad form, you can mix it with dandelion and the leaf of the dandelion and a few other adjacent weedy kind of plants, and it's very nutritious and healthy for you. But that's about it. And let me zoom in. I'll zoom in as much as I can. There we go. That's a little too much. But that right there is what you're looking for. It does kind of look like clover, but the difference is clover has that nice little flower ball that comes at the top, and these have, like what you see, the little flowers adjacent around it. And clover, of course, if you pick a piece of clover and you eat it, it tastes like clover. You pick a piece of this, you pick a piece of this and chew on it, and it's going to be like a sweet tart. It's going to be sweet, sour, and kind of grassy. But that's the main way you can tell the difference between the two. One of my other goats is looking at me like I'm supposed to feed him some more. Let me pick it up real quick. There you go. I call him buckwheat. Let me back this out some. That's buckwheat. That's Sadie. That rooted one there, I call him Trumpy. Of course, you'll get to know him later on. And that little baby one there is Rosebud. And my son named her because she looks kind of like a deer. And he wanted to pet deer for so long after watching the old Daniel Boone TV show, so he called her Rosebud. But as you see, I got all kinds of weeds and plants across the foundation of the house that usually I just let it grow, and probably about September, October, I'll bring the goats out and I'll let them eat whatever I don't harvest out of my little weed bed. It gives them something to chew on. So that's about it. Loosen this bad boy back up. I don't want the other thing about having a tripod. Zoom out there. I've always called this waterweed. That's the only thing I've ever known it by. It grows around really damp, kind of moist kind of areas. It has a yellowish orange kind of flower on it, and probably about August, September. Well, here's a flower down here. I'll come down and show you what it looks like. Now, them flowers right there, that's the kind of flowers it has. And usually about August, September, when the hummingbirds migrate, they come through here, and I'll have anywhere between 10 to 100 different hummingbirds come through And they'll hit these flowers on every one of these plants. This whole area will be just swarmed with hummingbirds. That's why I don't buy the feeders and put that artificial sweetener in, because these plants here, man, I tell you what, once they start, and let me back it out and show you how big this place is. That whole cluster there, of course there's other weeds, but that whole bush line section there is full of it. That cluster down there is full of it. The other cluster behind the pool section is full of it. This place here, this whole bundle piece here is full of it. And as you can see, it goes back in there in the thinner part of it, around the tree, down inside in there. This whole area, I'm talking this in about mid-August to early September, you see nothing but yellow and orange flowers all across this. And there'd be hundreds and, well, I would say hundreds and hundreds, but there'd be at least 100 different hummingbirds out here just flying around gathering nectar out of it. And also, since I'm back here, that's why they're following me, because a lot of times I'll pick the plant and I'll slide some through the fence. They love it. They absolutely love all this. He's mad because I won't give him no treats. That's what gets his attention. My four-legged garbage disposals. But yeah, that's basically it. Of course, I'm walking through the yard, and y'all get to watch me walk around the yard. There's Booger in the pool. In the pool. Dry supposed to be yet, but I was going to make this video first. But yeah, that's my thing. While I'm over here doing this, I can come check on my squashers. Well, I got some more growing. There's another one right there growing, Booger. Another squash. It's a big one too. Well, it's not really a big one, but here, I'm gonna zoom in. That's my butternut squash I got planted.
How big is it, got?
What is it? My one right there, right down there. See it on flower fed? But I grew these, and people are like, "You planted them too soon," which I don't care if I did or not. And
I see full melons already. I still see a honeydew is starting to grow.
Where's the honeydew at?
I think right there.
Well, I know there's one. Well, there's one on the back side of the honeydew over there.
Over here.
Yeah. There's my watermelon.
Oh, there's a giant red tomato. I thought it was orange.
My baby sweet heirloom watermelons. I like growing heirlooms. I can save the seeds and plant them again next year. Of course, what you're seeing now is my honeydew vine that's taken over. I got them in garden boxes because if not, I got a bunch of rabbits running within my area. They'll eat everything up. And then I got my crazy tomato plants. Then I got Timotales growing here. They've kind of, like my vines, they've taken over a bunch of stuff. And I got more tomatoes. Oop. And there's my grape tomatoes. They're good. There's a bunch I need to get picked today. And then,
would you basically say this tomato's done?
no, leave it. That right there is a hybrid. I don't like growing hybrids, but I did in this case, because that's as ripe as it gets, and it's really sweet for a tomato. It's a very low acid. But yeah, I do a lot of gardening, as you can see, like everybody should. There's my late okra plants. Nothing like good old slimy, buttered, vinegary okra. And then move this out of the way. Those little sprigs down there is my dill, which I had a late start at. But it is what it is. They'll get here when they get here. But I got, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 watermelons. There's 3 really small honeydews.
Cucumbers are down here.
And see, here's a garden pot I had that I was going to plant stuff in. Yeah, I call that the drag strip because it's a straight line shot, and everybody that has a motorcycle or a hot rod car, they want to fly down the road like it's a drag strip. But this right here, with my hands in, that's a great big cluster excuse me, of wood sorrel, and that's why I haven't done anything with this. And then this right here is a wild grapevine, and I left it because I'm going to transplant it somewhere else. And here's another cluster here of wood sorrel, and there's a small little cluster here. I dry a bunch of it. I use it for a lot of things. And then here's blueberry bushes that I've had that as you can see, there's some right here that are still kind of greenish, but that's okay. And then in this dirt pot here, I got pawpaw seeds planted, which if they don't sprout by the first frost, I'm going to take them inside so they can basically sprout in the warmth of the house. And there's my bamboo sticks for my tiki torches. And then these good old bud puppies right here, these are orange habaneros. I do not eat them. I basically pick them when they're ready, and I string them up and I dry them, let the air do its course, and basically grind them up into chili powder. Now, I used to reload 37 millimeter, which is a grenade round, and when I had those ground up into powder, I would load them in my round to make my CS round with the chili powder, kind of from the habanero. And it's one of the little side hobbies I do for reloading. But as you can see here also, there's a butternut squash, there's a butternut squash, and over here's another one. There's another small butternut squash starting to go. Of course, you already see my main one, and I'm counting about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 11 or 12 starts of some other ones. So, and if they all go through, that'd be great, because a butternut squash, you keep it in a dry, cool area of the house, and it'll last 3 to 6 months, easy. And the best thing about it is, they're hard as a rock, which is a good thing. And once you do split one open, you scoop the seeds out, and actually you do your process step, which I'll make a video of it when the time's ready for them. Show like step by step how I was shown by my grandmother. But once you cook it, and you add your butter and brown sugar and a little bit of cream to it, the taste of them is just like a sweet potato almost like sweet potato casserole. Man, they are so good. But there's all kinds of things I've done in the past line. Basically, a lot of the cooking I've done is from what my grandmother has shown me on cooking. Of course, I'm carrying the tripod. I'm not holding it. This is part of the side yard. It's wooded and overgrown of brush and everything else, which let me see if I can zoom this in. I'm kind of talking and rambling at the same time. Now this is a wild rose bush. I don't think it's going to show me the seeds. Probably not. You might be able to see them on the screen. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm blind as a bat. But there's little seeds on these wild rose bushes that deers love them. Let me zoom this out. I come back here with the ride mower. I cut up these little paths through here. And like I was saying earlier, those water weeds, as I call it. Here's a big old patch of them right here. This is a great big patch of them, and they all spread through there. And there's a drain line. It's like kind of like a creek, but it's not a creek. It's a water runoff, and they all grow down through here. This is me stepping across dead branches and stuff. As you can see, there's a little bit of water there, but in the spring we can come back here and there's mud puppies in here, or mud guppies, or what do you want to call them. I usually mow across there, but I haven't this year. It's kind of left it alone. There's a doe and some fawns that hang out back here. So that's why I kind of leave this kind of natural without mowing too much around it. There's a path. Let's see if I'm looking at it right. Let's see, yeah. Let's see. No, too far in. Okay, there's the tree there. In between the two trees right there, I used to mow a path through there, but I haven't mowed through that. I'm just kind of letting all this grow back up in a brush form. There's wild rose bushes and there's blackberry bushes in there. I just kind of let it do its natural thing. There's a walnut tree, a small one. There's whistle all over the yard. Now, this would tickles me. Of course, everybody knows what this is. Well, they should. That's a type of moss. It's like a fern slash moss. It grows mainly in the eastern part of my state, in the mountain areas. But I've seen people on eBay sell this, like a little cluster, say like a 1 foot by 1 foot section of it, dried, and they'd sell that for about $10. And my whole yard over in this general area, it's covered in this kind of moss, and it's really soft. It's almost like a sponge to it. I mean, it's real soft. It's moist right now, but it is really soft. And it looks like a fern, but it's a moss. And of course, there's all kinds of other things around here. Let's see, there's a wild strawberry. And of course, I got bloodroot that grows back here, and I got some yellow root. And of course, I don't really show that too much because anybody that does root digging knows that you know, it's a good price on the root. And as you can see, there's clumps of wood sorrel there. All over the place around there, there's wood sorrel. I mean, if I had to guesstimate how much wood sorrel I have just on my property. If I was to pick everything wet and weigh it, it'd probably be close to 100 pounds or so. But like I said, it makes a great tea. If you haven't tried it, try it sometime, and you can let me know what you think of it in a comment, or you can try it and spit it out and try it and like it and keep digging it and picking it and everything else. But yeah, that water plant I was telling you about, this is part of the other clump right here, and it's all across that back side through there. And here's the other side of my yard. A lot of my friends have these yards that look like, you know, that should belong on the rich and famous and stuff. And of course my yard, I'll kind of quick panorama. Mine it's mowed, it's taken care of, but there's branches from the last storm fell out of the tree. There's a big old clump of weeds there. I kind of leave weeds around the yard because there's other animals, like I got rabbits and I got deer and everything else come to the yard at nighttime. And I basically kind of leave it for them to chew on and eat on. And plus I do a lot of root picking and digging myself, and I experiment with, well, I would say, I hate the word experiment. I use some of the other stuff, and when I fix certain things, my dehydrators for spice and stuff. Because I got wild lettuce here, and I got, of course, I don't spray my yard with chemicals. My yard is natural, no chemicals added, no bug sprays, nothing like that. So I have a lot of weeds, but I enjoy weeds because there's so many natural properties from weeds that people don't pay attention to no more. A lot of people are starting to try to understand it, but it's kind of hard to find them if you kill them with weed killer and grass killer and everything else. Now, these aren't faring so well. These are my little small apples. I don't do much with these because it's about as big as they get, and I leave them on the tree so that way the deers will come up and they'll eat the apples, and they won't eat my fruit or food I'm growing in my raised beds. And they eat the apples and leave my vegetables and stuff alone, so it's a win-win for me. Now, there's my mower that ran out of gasoline. I can't find the cap to my gas can, so it's sitting there. There's my grapevines. They fared pretty decent this year, but we had some really strange weather climate, and it kind of ruined some of them. I'm just going to let them, and there's still some on there that are still decently available you could probably chew on, but I'm just going to let them ripen and fall and extend my grapevines for the next couple of years, make a big old cluster of them. Now, I've cut this tree out so many times and it keeps growing back. Let me get a good picture of it. That right there is a mulberry tree, and once they start, they're really hard to get rid of. I've cut it back and down to the ground and everything else. I'm probably just going to have to dig the whole thing out of the ground, stump and everything. But it's a kind of a pain in my butt. There's my grapevines. I was going to show this down here too. This is a dandelion. Pick the weed part of it. That's part of a dandelion broadleaf of it. eating it the way it is, it's kind of sour. Well, it's sour, it's kind of bitter. But if you pick stuff like that size and break it in half and boil it, it'll have a kind of like a green taste to it. I don't know if this is part of my mint coming through. Nope. I thought that was mint at first because I have mint plants. It looks like part of it came through, but it's not mint. But it sure looks like it. No, but it sure looks like mint though. See, there's another little cluster of wood sorrel with yellow flowers. And there's another cluster of wood sorrel. There's some more. More big old things of weeds. More wood sorrel. Now this plant here, I'm going to back this camera view out. This plant here is called an Arctic kiwi. And as you can see, it's very well overgrown. I've trimmed it back last year. I cut it down to next to nothing. And then within a short amount of time, that's how big it's gotten since I cut it down about this time last year. I cut it down to almost the bare root. It's supposed to... I got it under the assumption within 3 years it'd bear fruit. But the packaging of it kind of lied. It takes 6 years for it to bear fruit. So I get to cut it back and everything else and let it keep growing back, but it's going to take 6 years before it bears fruit, which I might just completely cut it completely out and let my grapevines grow down through. But here, this right here, that's a real good cluster of wood sorrel. Let me zoom in. There's nice little pretty yellow flowers, but that's a great big cluster. Get this little tree out of the way. But that right there, that's a great big cluster. That right there probably be about a half a pound wet. And then all down the back side, it grows through there. There's wild strawberry plants. Now over here is another great big cluster. I'm talking great big cluster of it. That right there is a wood sorrel, and it's a huge one. That big old clump right there wet will probably close to be like probably about a half a pound, quarter to half a pound, maybe a little bit more than a half a pound wet. But yeah, this is my weed beds, and there's more wood sorrel, big old clumps of it. There's another clump of it there. But yeah, I mean, no matter what you do, what you grow, there's always a benefit in anything you do. You can probably hear my chickens over there yapping and napping because they're the only one the kids didn't feed them yet. I got 15 chicks and about 15 laying hens. So, and here's my ready guard dog. That's Loki. Yeah, I know. He's half husky and half wolf. Yeah. Yeah. He likes to run, so I got him chained up. But he got about a 20 to 30 foot chain on him. So he got about 20 or 30 feet of around the yard he can run. Plus I got him by the chicken coop area. It keeps the raccoons from trying to get in there. But that's basically my yard. There's a lot of things you haven't seen because it's a mess and I haven't cleaned up anything. I've been lazy. A friend of mine's getting ready to go through a divorce, and more than likely he's going to stay with me for a little bit until he gets on his feet. And I've been trying to manhandle all that nice fun field. So that's about it, really. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna get off here and go jump in the pool for a bit. See y'all later.